Time is brought to you by realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property. With more properties for sale than anywhere else, we make it easier.
Welcome back. Let's get into the property market ahead of the weekend, beginning with the most viewed properties going to auction this weekend. Nationally, there will be 1,773 auctions this weekend. In Sydney, there'll be 551 auctions, with another 104 around New South Wales. In Melbourne, there'll be 705 auctions, with another 42 around Victoria. In Brisbane, there'll be 108 auctions, with another 93 around Queensland. In Adelaide, there'll be 72 auctions, and in Canberra, 73. Most viewed property of the week is going to auction is 34 Sandford Street in South Australia. It really says something about the property market and interest rates when the top listing is a house that's still under construction. Builders having good bones, it's priced at $600,000. And the second most viewed auction is 275 Argyle Street in Fitzroy, Melbourne. It has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and a large balcony. Has a price guide of between 1.55 and 1.65 million. In third place is 85 President Road, Kellyville in New South Wales. It's located about 45 minutes by car from the Sydney CBD and has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and a 2-car garage. It's priced at 145 million. Next on the list is 1 Crystal Court, Wheelers Hill in Victoria. Has 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, but the standout feature is the wooden cathedral ceiling in the living area. It has a price guide of between 1.1 and 1.2 million. Rounding out the list is 9 Peter Street in Borkham Hills, New South Wales. It's a cottage-style 2-bedroom home sitting on about 460 square metres, and it's priced at $1.1 million. This week's top listing looks like something straight out of a James Bond movie. Goldfinger's Rumpus Room, perhaps. 9 Parkers Road in Torrens Park, South Australia, takes a lot of design cues from the 1970s Hollywood Hills era. Think hexagon-shaped rooms, carpet on the walls, and plenty of exposed wood. There's also bejewelled stone feature walls, a champagne bar, and an observation deck. It sold last year for $2.8 million, and the owners used it as a high-end Airbnb. It's currently on the market with no price guide. And for more on property, I caught up with Paul Ryan, the senior economist at REA Group, a little earlier.
Yeah, we've seen quite a resurgence in the property market over the past few months. We've got 1,800 auctions scheduled this weekend, which is really solid for this time of year. We've seen property market activity increase as we've seen prices start to grow again.
What about clearance rates? Are they doing pretty well too?
Yeah, so clearance rates in Melbourne and Sydney are touching on 70% and have done for the last couple of weeks. And that's again, really strong and consistent with the price growth we've seen over the past couple of months.
Yeah, when did that price growth really start to get going?
So the data shows that over the past 2 or 3 months is when prices have started to increase, particularly in Sydney, Melbourne less so. But now prices are increasing pretty much all across the country now. From when we were looking at 6 months ago, prices were decreasing everywhere.
And do you think that's sort of confidence from buyers that know that we're kind of getting to the end of this interest rate hiking cycle? Is that what's feeding all this?
I think that's a big part of it, is that certainty from buyers and sellers, knowing that, you know, the peak of interest rates are pretty much here, or if not here or close to here. And it's just that certainty looking forward. What are borrowing costs going to be in 12 months? That's what people care about. And I think it's having an effect on the market.
This week, federal budget came out on Tuesday. There was a fair bit in it, actually, for the housing sector and build to rent specifically, trying to encourage developers to build more properties. Like, this is obviously a pretty good thing because we've got a serious problem right now with rents in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the budget's focus on the housing market is really welcome and shows just how bad the crisis has gotten. So the changes to build-to-rent tax arrangements are really welcomed. Build-to-rent are going to be, the goal is that that's a really important part of the mix of housing going forward. It provides tenure stability for renters, and it's the kind of projects that we can get moving now so that we can solve this as quickly as we possibly can.
I don't think there are a lot of build-to-rent projects happening at the moment, but maybe now this federal budget changes. I think they come through on the 1st of July. Once they get legislated and come through the system, perhaps we might actually see more projects around the country.
Yeah, it's a really nascent asset class. And part of the reason is that it hasn't been on an equal footing tax-wise with other asset classes. So reducing withholding tax rate down to 15%, which is equivalent to what, you know, commercial property and other asset classes face, is a really important step to getting build-to-rent projects off the ground.
Yeah, and I think there's some tax benefits for foreign investors as well, kind of encouraging them to tip some money back into Australia.
Yep, that's a key part of the financing arrangement for build to rent, getting overseas investors into the industry and getting those projects stood up. That's what the industry needs. And the depreciation changes also are important because it means that cash flow is much more front loaded.
So we might see a flurry of development starting over the next few months. Obviously, it's going to take quite a bit of time before those projects get completed. So what is the outlook right now for people that are still trying to find a property or are renting at the moment?
Yeah, speaking to build-to-rent developers, this build-to-rent projects will take 2 to 3 years to get going. We need to think about the long term, but we also need to think about the short term. And we saw in the budget the government acknowledging the plight of renters, particularly low-income renters, and they increased the maximum rate of Commonwealth rent assistance by 15%. Now, although that's the biggest increase in Commonwealth rent assistance for 30 years, it's still really not enough. I mean, there's a lot of people who are receiving social benefits getting Commonwealth rent assistance. Those payments have not kept up with rents, and they particularly haven't been keeping up with the rents that low-income earners pay.
And how much interest are you getting right now on your leasing rent website? Like, is there still just vast amounts of traffic?
Yeah, so, I mean, if we looked before the pandemic, we were getting kind of 3 or 4 serious renters per rental listing on our site, on realestate.com.au. Now we're looking at kind of 7, 8, 9 serious renters per rental listing. So competition is still extremely fierce. We haven't seen that let up. We've seen the amount of time that it takes to lease a property across the country. It's down by about 10 days over the past year or so. So it's still the case that pretty much any rental property that's advertised is picked up pretty much immediately, and rents are growing really strongly. And I don't think those conditions can be maintained across the market. I mean, it's putting a huge amount of financial pressure on renters who we know face higher rates of financial stress than other people in our society.
It's clearly a really tough time for a lot of people out there. But look, Paul Ryan, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.